Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis, Technical Evangelist here at CTC, and today we're going to be talking about the Invisibility Advisor. I want to go over a comprehensive introduction to this tool and show you what it can do. I mean, really, this is kind of the core of what a lot of us have to troubleshoot in Revit on a regular basis. There's a lot of times something should be showing up in a view and you just can't find it. You can't figure out why it's not showing up. And this is incredibly frustrating. If it's not you, and maybe you're a BIM manager and your team ends up having to do this, well, that's great, but then they have to spend a bunch of time trying to fix these issues, and when they aren't fixing those issues, and they're going to come ask you and you get to help them out, or if you are one of those users, it's frustrating because there's a lot of time that's spent doing that. The Invisibility Advisor, this tool we're going to talk about today, this was purpose-built to help investigate and resolve these types of visibility issues with pretty much anything that can be hidden in a whole bunch of different ways in projects. And this can hopefully help save you all a ton of time and frustration. As always, this webinar is being recorded. As always, we encourage you to throw questions into the questions window, and I'll try to answer them live while we're going through this. So with that, let's just kind of jump in and take a look at what we'll be exactly covering today. First off, how do we get access to the Invisibility Advisor? Where is it? I'm going to take you through the UI of Invisibility Advisor, the interface. We're going to select some elements in a view and try and figure out why they don't show up. And then we're going to resolve those issues using the Invisibility Advisor tool itself. And since I'm not big on death by PowerPoint, let's go live into Revit and kind of see what goes on here. And I'm going to pull this tool out of the way because it doesn't need to be there. So to find Invisibility Advisor, up here in the CTC Software tab, on the CTC BIM Project Suite, this is one of the licensed tools on the suite. It's actually right here on my ribbon. It's the third licensed tool, Invisibility Advisor. So Fab Sheets, Fire Rating, Invisibility Advisor. That's the tool right there. Now, before I dig into and show you the interface, let's just kind of take a look at some of the problem that we run into. So let's go through an example. I'm going to open up a life safety plan or a code plan here in my project. If I'm trying to figure out emergency egress for this building, how people are going to get out of a room, one of the things that I like to consider is furniture. I like to know where large pieces of furniture are because I like to pre-plan the routing around those things in rooms like a training room where there's typically going to be desks. They're not bolted to the floor, but that matters, where they are. And so here in this view, I'm not seeing any furniture. I'm simply going to go to Visibility Graphics, VV on my keyboard, or VG, or whatever your keyboard shortcut is for that. I'm going to go down and find furniture. And of course, it's turned off, right? That's fine. Turn it back on, click OK. And at this point, I would expect furniture to show up, but it doesn't. Now, there's 58 other reasons why in this view, furniture might be hidden. It could be on a work set that's not open or that's turned off. It could be hidden by filters. It could be out of the view range. I don't know. It could be hidden individually in the view by somebody. There's a lot of different reasons why these things might not show up. And going through all those different reasons, man, that takes time and it's frustrating sometimes. So how can we solve this more easily? Well, this is what I like to do. I like to go into a floor plan where I can see it, like my finished plans. I would expect to see furniture in a finished plan. So if there's any furniture in this project, I should be able to see it here. And in fact, I can. So when I open this up, I can navigate through the view and I'm seeing hey, that's a chair in whatever that room happened to be out there. And there's actually a CAD file that's out here, and I'm going to hide that for now just so it gets out of my way. But there we go. There's a chair in this room. And if I do window tile, let's close this view. Let's do window tile again. Window tile. Here we go. Just want to make sure that we're looking at the same location, the floor plan. Yeah, in fact, if I highlight the room, it's the same room, right? I'm on level 1. This is level 1. That's main floor. This is level 1. It's currently called O1 because people have different naming conventions apparently in this project, whatever. Right if I pick the wall over here, same wall, I'm in the same area. But this chair here that I can see very clearly is not showing up in this view over here. And I don't really feel like going through the 59-point checklist of why things might be hidden in this view. So instead, this is where I'm going to use the Invisibility Advisor. So I'm going to open up this tool. Now the Invisibility Advisor, oh, that was the support page. I didn't mean to click on that. That was an accident. The Invisibility Advisor here across the top, of course, has our typical tool ribbon where you can do things like getting videos about this tool and getting support, knowing more about it, getting help for the help documentation, things like that. That's typical to all of our tools. By the way, that videos link right there, pretty key. This will take you to a playlist dedicated to this tool and help you learn more about it, including today's webinar that will be uploaded in the near future to actually, be in that same videos list. But the invisible element here, since I happened to have a chair selected when I came in this case, a piece of furniture, it actually found that piece of furniture out here automatically. And that's because my option that I had preset here was to check the box selection only. So it knows to find the things that I currently have selected. Had I had nothing selected, this list right here would have been empty until I selected something, at which point I can go out into my project and just pick that object, and this will refresh instantly. So it doesn't take very long to get that to refresh. You can also explicitly use a select element component option here. You can select by element ID if you happen to know the ID of the object. Maybe you found it in a different view or you're able to find it in a schedule, but that was it. You can select by ID and then enter that value. You can also do a select by crossing. However, I typically don't like this option because what it has to do is build a 3D view of the project, and it creates a core selection through the entire building when you do that. So unless you really can't find the object in some view, I would recommend probably not using this. It takes a long time for it to come up with all the elements in a core section through your structure. I usually do select by element ID or selecting elements, or maybe you want to use something like the quick select tool and actually select objects that way. That works well also, and that pairs really well with the Invisibility Advisor. Ultimately, though, the goal is to get something selected. And in this case, I have something selected, which is that piece of furniture. And I want to find out why this furniture is not visible in this view over here. And that brings us to the last part of the UI, which is this target view. Down here, it lists all of the views that are open for this current model. In this case, floor plan 01, or floor plan 01 code plan, and main floor finish plan, which, fantastic. That's all open. Both of those views. In this case, the view that I'm trying to solve for the invisibility is the code plan view, and it also happens to be my active view. I like making sure it's my active view because some of the controls that come up in a minute here work best when that view is actually active. So good idea, just make sure that you've clicked into that view, that's the active view, and that's what you've got selected here. It's a simple thing. It doesn't have to be the active view. It'll still work. Some things work a little bit better. Ultimately, you're going to click Find Element. And this main portion of the UI, again, is picking the chair, the element that's going to be solved for invisibility, and making sure that view is your active view. That's it. Then when you click Find Element, it rips through this view and looks at all of the different reasons, all 59 reasons why something might not be visible. And it presents it to you. Now, anything in green is very likely. Anything in gray, like this line work overrides, it always recommends this pretty much, because if something could be line work overridden, we don't check every single line element of every object in that particular element. So you'll often see this, and I typically ignore it unless it's the only thing that's there. But the view filters being set to hide this element, that's probably pretty likely, right? The view range is set to hide this element, and the associated work set that this element is on, this chair is on, is invisible. That gives me enough information already to know that if I was to go into Visibility Graphic Overrides and go to Work Sets, hey, look at that. There's a work set that's been told to be hidden. This told me enough to know that, and that's great. But if I didn't know where to go, sometimes I can just click Fix, and it'll reach into that view, and it'll actually make that correction for me. So if I go back there manually now and I go to Work Sets, yeah, look at that. It's set back to the Use Global setting of Visible. And if the global setting was to be hidden, it would actually have forced it to be visible. But it takes care of that for me. It makes that modification. Similarly here, the view range setting is set to hide the element. Well, that's, again, easy for me. I know to go to view range over here, and I can look and go, oh, well, yeah, if my cut plane's up at 6 feet and the bottom of my view is at 4 feet, that's probably well above that chair. That makes sense why that's not visible. But if I didn't know that, once again, I could go in here and just say fix, and I could blindly let this tool make the correction for me and reach into my view range and make those settings change. Now, I probably wouldn't do that with view range personally because I don't like this being some stupid number like 7/256 of an inch, probably because maybe the architecture interiors team lifted this above a carpet finish on the floor to make it visible or something. So, but we're going to pretend like that's good enough for now, and we're going to see if this tool actually solves the problem. So I'm just going to close this out since it's already made that change, and we'll leave that as it is. Normally what I do, though, is I like to go in here, and when it tells me something like view filters are set, maybe I don't know where view filter controls even are. Great. I can click Show, and what this will do is pull open, in this case, the Visibility Graphics dialog box. It'll go to Filters, it'll select that tab for me, and now it's up to me to kind of figure out what's going on here. Apparently, in this particular model, somebody really didn't want to see furniture. But I'm going to go ahead and turn on the visibility, and maybe the intent was to make it half-toned. Not that this is the right way to do it, but maybe that was the person's intent. I don't know, but I'm going to make it visible at least. So when I do this now, hey, look at that. The stuff is visible in this view. That was it. That was all it took. I went through this tool, and it went through all of the reasons why something might be invisible, and it helped me solve it. Either solved it for me, or it would bring me in the UI to where that was. And if you want to know more information about any of these things, you can click more, and it'll tell you more about what that object is and what that might kind of be controlling, right? Ultimately, if I was going through this manually and trying to solve for visibility, if I had done any one of these and I wanted to manually see if my change here fixed it, I can simply hit check again. It would rerun the full check and see if that thing is still a problem. And that's great, because in these compounding issues where there's multiple things controlling the invisibility, a lot of times users will go in and make a change, and when they don't see the effect of that working correctly, they'll undo that change because they don't want to screw up their view. But then, they've undone one of the things that could have solved the problem. Well, here, again, this will let me know if I make a change, I can simply check again each time I make a change, if I'm doing it manually, to verify that this is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Guys, that's it. That's Invisibility Advisor in a nutshell, right? It's not that difficult of a tool to use. You go in, you select an object. So if I close this out again and I go back to Invisibility Advisor, I select an object in a view. I select the view where I'm trying to solve for the invisibility, and I tell it to find it, and it will run the solving algorithms that we've written for all 59 different reasons why something might be hidden. It presents you options, and you can then either fix it or go through the exercise of letting it fix it for you, right? Pretty awesome. So then some of you might ask the question, man, Sean, this is pretty cool, but how do I get my hands on this tool? If you don't already have it, best way to get this tool set is to go up to ctcsoftware.com, go into our products page, and go to the BIM Project Suite 2021. This suite, automatically when you install it, you get one download. When you install it, it will work on Revit 2017 through Revit 2021, so 5 versions of Revit. And if you want to try this out for yourself, download this, and you can feel free to try it free for 14 days. Give it a shot. And then if you want to buy it, of course, you can buy it to the site or talk to one of our resellers. They'll be more than happy. You can find them up here on our partners page. They'll be more than happy to talk with you about how you can leverage these tools yourself and get full access to this for all of your users.